Hey folks, welcome to the Foolish Canuck podcast. I'm your host, Chris Timms. It is October 21st. It is election day here in Canada. And it's interesting times. Um, Apparently today is not a good day to post on social media because everyone has a fucking opinion, which is fine. Everyone's allowed to have an opinion, but it's hilarious. So I'm trying to promote this podcast, and so I did some research, and I'm like, hey, how do I get more listeners on the podcast? And one of the things are post more to social media, like Twitter and Facebook and Instagram or whatever. I don't have an Instagram, but we got a Facebook and a Twitter. So I'm like, okay, I'll engage more. I don't post very much anymore on social media, but I figure if I need to generate some eyeballs onto what we're trying to do over here, then I got to do that. So I tried posting some stuff. And, I post a little funny joke about voting, something about, voting's much like wiping your ass, no need to brag about it, just fucking do it, because every Tom, Dick, and Harry out there, and Sally and Jane and whatever, everyone's fucking taking selfies at the voting booth, like I voted. It's like patting yourself on the back for something you're supposed to do, To me, it's just kind of silly. And they're like, hey, look at me, everybody like me, because I did what I'm supposed to do. And, I'm happy people are voting. You need to vote. But I don't know. To me, it's just silly seeing all these people like, oh, I voted. Good. You did what you were supposed to do. Now carry on with your fucking day. I don't know. So anyway, people took, they took a little bit of, I don't know, offense to that, apparently. They're like, I'm allowed to vote. Voting is a privilege and da-da-da-da. Someone I think mentioned that living in this country is a privilege. It is, I guess so. I think it's lucky if you were born here. If you immigrated here from a really shitty place, then you're very fortunate and you have this privilege to be here. I'm very grateful that I was born here. I'm happy that I get to vote, and I know there's other people in the world that don't get to vote, but I can't put myself in their mentality, in their mind space, and be like, oh, I feel like a shitty person because I live in Canada. I don't know. It's funny. We live in this climate where if you're remotely better off than someone else, you have to feel bad about it. You're not allowed to just, this is the way it is, but I think it could be better. And they're like, oh, well, you know what? They have it worse somewhere else. And yes, I know they have it worse somewhere else, but we're not somewhere else. We're here. This is where I pay my taxes. And until everyone is on the same global page, it's really hard to be like, hey, you know what? I'm totally down with what, I don't know. I guess I'm rambling here. I'm just flabbergasted at the responses today to certain things. Everyone's they're manufacturing anger out of nothing. It was a funny little joke about how you should vote, and there's no need to be like, oh, I voted and brag about it. And if you do, I still don't care. It annoys me, but I'm not gonna say don't fucking do that. I'm just making a funny joke anyway. And everyone's like, what the fuck? But you have this, oh shit, you know what I didn't do? I didn't turn off my cell phone sound. Anyway, we're gonna do that right now. So yeah, it's I know I'm a white straight guy, so I get this all the time, and I'm not trying to. We're going to get into some heavy topics here today because, like I said, I had a plan for today, and then some people commented on posts, and then I got all riled up, and now we're going to fucking talk about it. I know I shouldn't read the comments, and I'm going to try not to going forward. I spent maybe an hour today replying to people's comments, and then I was like, you know what, Chris, you're stupid. Let's just move along. It's not I don't know. I didn't feel like anything they were saying was valid. Now that I've been thinking about it, I'm like, maybe I just don't have the right perspective. But then the more I think about it, I'm like, no, they missed the fucking point. And I'm not going to made me feel bad because I'm a dude or I live in Canada or I get to vote or that I'm a straight person. I want equality for everybody. I think people on a base level, everyone should be equal, and then we judge people based on their actions and their skills and whatever, right? But on a base level, everyone should be equal. Doesn't matter your race, your gender, your how you identify, whatever. That being said, though, it's insane the environment we live in because you make one little comment or one little post and the fucking world goes insane. Everyone goes fucking apeshit. And that's what happened today. I made a post that I thought was a good post. I thought it was I don't know. I thought it was funny and I thought it was inspiring. However, not maybe not inspiring. I thought it pointed out some hypocrisies because I was talking about this on previous podcasts. I think I mentioned it on the first podcast, and then I'm sure I've mentioned it again along the way. It's that we live in a world right now, in a society where those who just scream the loudest, make a lot of noise, get the most attention, right? Doesn't even matter if what they're doing has any positive benefit or if they have any, valid ideas or anything of the sort. There's just, this visceral attack that people want to make. And God forbid you make a comparison between two individuals, then it's, especially if they're of a different gender, then it's fucking the moon. The moon. I don't know. Shit goes to the moon. I don't know if that's a saying, but that's what I was going to say. Shit hits the fan. Yeah. Shit goes to the moon. That should be a saying. From now on, that's going to be a saying. And like, I had a whole podcast planned out and I had things written down. Then this happened. So we will be freewheeling it a lot today. But so I don't know if you guys have seen the meme that's getting the rounds. This is the thing that got me a little riled up and got someone else I know pretty riled up. It's a meme of Greta Thunberg, I think is how you pronounce her name. The little 16-year-old Swedish environmental activist who's been like on a little world tour right now, yelling at adults not to, ruin her childhood. Yet, rather than being a child, she's out doing this. And I guess, that's, people are like, well, that's why it's her childhood's ruined. She feels she has to be out doing that. And great, good for her for being out there and, raising awareness on issues. And so, like, I'm not belittling her necessarily. Like, my attack isn't at her. And it's not even an attack. It was just a comparison. And anyway, I put up this meme, and you can go to the Foolish Canuck page on Facebook, and you'll be able to see the meme, read it for yourself. I'd love if you guys could leave a comment on it and let me know what you think. If maybe I'm an asshole or maybe, I'm onto something. Okay, so this, and maybe I shouldn't have sent the meme. Maybe I shouldn't have sent the meme out, and maybe the person who created the meme had ulterior motives. It's not the way I interpreted it. And anyway, so the meme, it's basically this. It has Greta and a little writing up, and then there's like this dude and then another writing up. And then so the Greta one, it says, Greta is a 16-year-old Swedish environmental activist who shares her anger, frustration, and anxiety about the climate with the world, right? So she goes around and does this. She's not a scientist nor an economist, and she offers no practical solutions to the economic devastation her ideas would cause, right? Like, just cut everything off, stop everything, right? Like, she has admirable passion, but the wrong thesis. She's a media star, though. Her Google search, she gets 176 million hits on Google, right? 176 million hits on Google. 16-year-old telling everyone about the environment and how it's shit and scowling at Trump. Then there's this young man named Boyron Slat. And this is where the problem is, because I guess I'm comparing her to a young man, or this meme is, and I agreed with it. And maybe I should have gone out and trying to find another young lady. Anyway, Boyan Slat is a 23-year-old inventor who designed the world's first ocean plastic cleanup system at the age of 16. So at the same age as Greta is now, this kid developed a way to actually get the plastic out of the ocean, right? He now leads a group of developing advanced technologies to rid the world's oceans of plastic. His solution His solution has no economic destruction. His admirable passion, right thesis. Media, those not interested, his Google search is 270,000 clicks, right? So you have someone with practical solutions. He's not out there making a big scene. He's just, I'm going to do this. He's been doing it since he's 16. And I've seen something about this young man before. So he has been out there, but not to the level of Greta, who's just yelling at people. So I just posted it. I'm like, hey, this is interesting, because I believe, those who scream the loudest tend to get the most clicks. So this kid has like not even 1 million clicks on Google, and she has almost 200 million. So I don't know. So that's why I posted it. I'm like, that's fascinating to me. This kid actually has solutions, and no one's talking about him, but they're talking about, this girl all over the place, which is, again, fine. I'm not trying to make it as about gender. This was nothing to do about gender, but of course it all became about gender because you're comparing two sexes, right? And so the first comment that this person writes is that I forgot to mention that women often aren't taken seriously until they speak like Greta. It's easier for men to stay calm when they are celebrated so easily. Name one woman who had to make a difference without having to take a firm stand. This post reeks of shit. Anyway, so, okay, first of all, this has nothing to do about gender. That's not why I posted this, right? And this man isn't out there trying to get notoriety. He's just doing his thing and making, this dude is just making his products and putting them out to the world. So that's all I was trying to get at, right? And so it was like, women have to do this if they want to be taken seriously. I'm like, okay, I guarantee every woman who's successful in the world hasn't had to, rally the globe around their cause so they can, do what they needed to do. Also, anyone who takes a firm stand to make a difference or cause change, like, they have to take a firm stand. They have to scream and get loud. Like, doesn't matter what your gender is. That's just usually what happens. And then, so anyway, I try to explain this, and then they go on to this whole thing about men murder more women than men, vice versa. Viewers, views towards Greta are valid. Okay, so she kind of agrees with me, but then she's going on this whole thing about like how more men are murdered or more women are murdered by men than women murder men, and it's like, what does that have to do with anything? And then she's like, she's also 16, probably learned. You shouldn't compare a 16-year-old and a 23-year-old. I wasn't comparing them as a 16-year-old and a 23-year-old. It's comparing them as he was 16 at one point, and rather than travel the world and yell at people, he's like, what can I create? And he created the thing, and now at 23 years old, he's making a difference, an actual difference, right? Not splitting people. Like what Greta is doing, as admirable as it is, she's dividing a lot of people, especially in this country. People who need to work together in order to find, a prosperous future. And so she's coming out and she's like, hey, you know what? This is a very sticky issue in this country. Let's drive a further wedge down the fucking divide amongst people. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if she was like a Russian plant or something, I'm not saying she is. I'm just fucking relax, people. I'm just saying, like, it's really funny that you have this person who is just creating visceral in society, and whatever side of the coin you're on, people have an opinion about her, and nothing good is going to happen. Nothing positive is happening from this except for creating more divide, right? And so this is why I'm posting this. But you have this young man who's not out there telling people, oh, don't drive your trucks, don't fucking drill oil. He's like, I'm going to create some things that we can possibly fix some of these solutions. And that's what he's doing. And that's what the fucking point of this post was. It wasn't about, oh, men are better than women or women should shut up or anything of the sort, right? And so I'm trying to explain this to this person, and they're just fucking double down. She's like, oh, women's rage are often used in this man. Like, I'm not trying to talk about her as a woman. I'm talking about them as two human beings, right? Two human beings, both care about the environment, both going about it in completely different ways. One's making a difference. One is creating divide and conflict. Whether that's her, like, okay, I'll give her the benefit of the doubt that that's not her goal. Her goal is to save the environment. But is she going about it the right way is my question. And I look at this young man when he was 16, at the same age she is now, he took a different direction. And I would argue that what he's doing is going to make a bigger difference in the long run. And no one's fucking talking about it. No one's talking about what this young man has done. And when he was 16, he didn't have this type of media coverage to cover something like, hey, look, this fucking young man's going to change the world by creating this thing. Let's all invest in him or whatever, right? So anyway, I'm not going to keep going through these fucking posts because it really pissed me off to some extent, because one, you're not reading the post. Two, you're making this whole thing about gender when it doesn't have to be about gender, right? Like you're manufacturing, and this is what pisses me off with people in society, is that this is not going to be a funny podcast. But it's just like they fucking manufacture problems when there are no problems, right? They're like, oh, I know, here's a thing, here's a meme that I can virtue signal on. I can make a stand, and then I'm going to feel really good about myself because I still stood up for women. I stand up for women all the time. I love women in every shape, form, and facet. Women are great. They're human beings just like me, and, we need them, and we need men, and we need each other. So, like, this combat is absolutely unnecessary. And then bringing in murder and all these things that have nothing to do with the topic we're talking about it's nonsensical to me. It doesn't make any fucking sense. And so what the fuck do I do as a white guy or as a man? Am I supposed to just not have an opinion on things anymore? Am I supposed to go, okay, you know what, if I post this thing, people like, no, so I'm just going to post shit. I'm not going to read or comment on anything anymore. But it's so telling, like, where we are with each other nowadays, that you can't, like, I'm more than willing to have a conversation if you're not going to tell me that, like, you attack, right? You don't attack. You ask. You're like, what do you mean by this? Hey, do you mean that, men are better than women? Or, like, I don't know. We need more civility in our conversation, especially online. But it's my fault because I replied to the fucking thing and it ended up being one message. It turned into fucking 17 fucking things, right? And then everyone's like, what's the good of this? I'm like, well, conversations are valuable as long as you stay on point, right? And then she's trying to tell me that all this garbage is tailored to silence women. Like, I'm trying to silence women. I have a woman on the podcast every week to get her opinions on the news and on what's going on. And I had her on to talk about the fucking election. I'm going to have other women on the podcast. I'm not trying to silence anybody. Like, I'm not even trying to silence Greta. I was just trying to make an interesting point about how things are skewed visually in our world, right? Anyway, what do you folks think? Like, you know what I think? I think comments should be banned. Like, if you want to have, like, I think comments should be banned, and if you want to, like, actually reply to something someone said, you have to send them a message. You have to actually sit down and physically think what you're going to say and send it to them, and it has to be a certain amount of characters. It can't be like a sentence or something. I don't know. I know I could be in the wrong here, right? I could very well be in the wrong, and I could just be a fucking misogynist asshole that doesn't get it. But I don't see the value in manufacturing rage or manufacturing controversy when, especially when it's not about the thing that you're supposed to, like, this has not, okay, then again, maybe the person who created this meme wanted to shut women up. Maybe that's what it is, but we're not going to get anywhere. So I'm told, like, we're not going to get anywhere with posts and memes like this, but we're not going to get anywhere if you fucking silence, like, me or, like, people, like, so they're like, don't silence women, shut up. Okay, well, the answer to not silencing other people isn't silencing other people, right? Like, someone recently told me, like, you shouldn't call people names or tell people off. Yet that person was calling people Nazis because they didn't agree with everything that they fucking agree with. Like, it's great if it suits your narrative. If it doesn't suit your narrative, well, then fuck it. What does it matter, right? This is what boggles my mind. I feel like I'm just rambling about nothing and just getting angry about a fucking Facebook post that really is not going to affect my life in any way whatsoever, but maybe it'll affect someone's. I don't know. We live in weird times, and I'm not sure sometimes what to talk about or what you should talk about or shouldn't talk about or should say or not say. And I'm a pretty abrasive person. I don't mind speaking my mind generally, especially if we're, in a conversation, just, you and me at my home or out at a bar or something like that. Then, yeah, I have no problem saying, because I can generally defend what I'm going to say. And if I can't, or if someone makes a valid point that I agree with or that changes my opinion, I have no problems going, you know what, I'm absolutely wrong in this instance, and you're right, you've changed my mind, you're absolutely right, but this person did not change my mind today. If anything, they made me double down. And I think that's one of the large problems, one of the greater issues with, this whole gender wars or the war of the environment, and it is this trying to silence people, and, like, it's difficult. It's difficult for you to go, hey, it's like people forget that other people exist, you know? And then so they go, hey, fuck you, you drive a big truck and you dig for oil. Like, you have no opinion in the matter. Yet, you know, when they need like something that person specializes in, then I bet you they have no problem, you know, reaching out. I don't know. It's just frustrating. It's like you can't fight fire with fire. I think that's a saying. It's better than shit to the moon saying. Though I like shit to the moon. You know what? I bet you, like, you see what's going on. Oh my God. You see what's going on, right? With like Canada sending their garbage to like other countries and stuff. I guarantee you, we're going to have, at some point in the future, we're just going to be sending our garbage to like Mercury or something, you know, or just firing it into the fucking sun. We're going to pack our garbage in rockets and just fire it into the fucking sun. That's what we should do with our trash. Anyway, then we'll be literally sending shit to the moon, or I guess to the sun in that instance. We don't want to have landfills on the moon, do we? It might affect the tides. I don't know. Oh, Jesus Christ. This is a weird podcast today, folks. I'm going to be doing another one tomorrow because I still have plans, and we're going to keep with my plans. But I figured, you know, today we're going to talk this through and see how it goes. Yeah. So that's okay. So I've been asking you folks who listen for your thoughts, your comments, your questions. And I know I don't got a lot of listeners right now, okay? I understand that. I think we got about like 20 to 30 relatively regular listeners. And I love all of you. All of you. Thank you so much for listening. Wherever you are in the world, I will still learn how to speak Romanian, or at least say hello. That was going to be on the podcast I was writing for today. Anyway, so I want to try and engage. I'd like for example, for this, I'd like to get people's thoughts of it. I posted on the Facebook page, but we don't have that many followers on the Facebook page yet. You know what I'm saying? So what I'm asking is, you know, you folks I got a like on it. So like one person likes it. If you want to connect with us, do it on Twitter at Foolish Canuck on Twitter. It's an easy way. You don't have to go to the website. You don't have to hit the contact page. You don't have to send a message. You can fucking tweet us at Foolish Canuck. Whatever your questions, comments, concerns, whatever it is, do it. Join us on Twitter. Follow us and tweet at us. That'd be amazing. Also, join the Facebook page. Foolish Canuck on Facebook. Facebook.com/Foolish Canuck. You will find us. And I would like, you know, let's start a two-way dialogue. So when we have situations like this arise, I can pose the question out to you folks, then come on the podcast and we can talk about it. We'll include your questions, your comments, and your thoughts. And, you know, we can get behind some of these issues. Because, again, I don't want to be that asshole, right? And I know I see people that share memes sometimes, and I go, you know what, I'm pretty sure this is like a Russian bot thing. And this could very well be one of those situations as well, but I just thought the comparison was neat, and I wanted to share it. And, of course, it created, you know, it ruffled someone's feathers. Not to mention, the, you know, the 15, 20 other people that shared it and liked it. Anyway. Yeah, so, you know, let's connect. Let's have a conversation. I would like to know what you think about this, about, you know, the society that we're living in. Like, should people not be able to have an opinion? Like, is that where we've come? Like, you know, it's in order for other people to have equality, other people need to have not equality. I don't know how to go about this. And like, I want to empower women, and I want women to do great things, and I want humans of all walks of life to do great things. And apparently when I say that, it makes me a misogynist, because I don't know why. It's like, if I go, I want to see the best for all women, not just women, I want to see the best for all human beings, somehow I'm belittling women by saying that. It's like during the Black Lives Matter thing, when someone was like, all lives matter, and they're like, you're a racist. Don't all lives, like, I understand the Black Lives Matter thing, and I understand the point of it, right? But not everyone that was thinking all lives matter was a racist. I'm sure a handful of them were, but not most of them, right? A racist probably wouldn't be like, all lives matter. They'd be like, white lives matter. That's pretty much all they, you know. It's fun because everyone wants equality and equal to be equal. So then when you try to do things or say things in a manner that is as equal and as fair playing field as possible, you get accused of misogyny or racism or a number of craziness, you know? So like, how do we handle these situations? What are we supposed to do? I don't know. I don't have answers for you folks today. I just have more questions, but maybe you guys have answers, and gals and whomever. So fire them off at Foolish Canuck on Twitter. I don't know what else. I feel like I'm going to get into the ums here pretty soon because there goes one. Because, you know, I don't have a plan anymore for this podcast. I guess I could have ranted about this and then did my plan for the other podcast, but whatever. It was not finished being written. I was writing it, and then I started combating with people on fucking social media, and, well, here we are. I said I was going to get one out today, so we're getting it out today. So, yeah, so that being said, I'm not going to comment on Twitter anymore or Facebook. Like, I say that, I probably will, but I'm not going to, if I reply to something, or if I see someone comment on something, and I'm like, well, that's not rational, I'm not going to comment. I'm not going to reply. I think that's the best way of going about it. Because I wasted an hour of my day today, and I got nothing. Maybe I got this podcast, which is, you know, so far 26 minutes of me rambling about trying to not be misogynist, but still wanting to share my opinions, right? I'm also, another thing, if you folks are going to choose to connect, if anyone here is listening has ever quit smoking cigarettes before, I'd love to hear how you did it. I've been trying to quit smoking now for fucking over a year, maybe longer. I think the most I've made it was a couple of days, and I think I've talked about this before, but it seems like the more I try to not smoke, the more I smoke. It's like a weird catch-22 or paradox I find myself in. But every day I wake up, I'm like, fuck, I really need to quit smoking. And that's getting more and more prevalent. But the motivation to do it is just, it's lacking. So I don't know. Maybe I'll try hypnosis or something. Like I'm very hesitant to try like the gums or the patches because I don't want to just be, I want to kick nicotine. I don't want to substitute cigarettes for another addiction, right? So anyway, I'm also trying to quit Coca-Cola because I have an addiction to that. Just trying to make myself a better person. And I guess that's maybe part of this podcast as well. Like, that's why I'm asking the question. Is this post sexist or is this post about something else? Like, I don't know. I don't know. I'm trying to be a better person. And I'm trying to be a healthier person. That's why I'm trying to quit Coca-Cola. So I bought a case of ginger ale, which I know is still soda. But it has 3 grams less sugar. No, it has like 7 grams less sugar. So, I mean, that's, 7 grams less sugar a drink. We're getting there. Yeah, this feels rambly. Yeah. So if you have any advice on how to quit habits, I think or quit addictions, I'm going to get a friend of mine on in the next week or so to talk about addictions. He struggled with that in his life. And so we're trying to line up a day to get him in here, and we can talk about that because I need help, guys. Not like, clinical help or anything, but, well, maybe, some people that know me probably think I need clinical help. I could be a little psycho. But in this, I don't have any addictions that are ruining my life necessarily, except for cigarettes, which is probably shortening my life, and soda, which is probably also shortening my life. But you know what I'm saying. And I don't know what else. Oh, shit. I had the fire alarm go off in my building the other day. I could tell that to you guys before we get out of here. That was an interesting experience. So here's what happened, is that I have 2 cats, right? And I got my cats, and I think about a year or 2 after having them, maybe almost 3 years. I've had my cats now, I think, for 5 or 6 years. And it was like the first couple years of having them, I didn't have a cat carrier. Even when I moved into this apartment from my old house, I didn't have a cat carrier. I put the cats on their leashes, and I took them over that way. Because we lived in a house, I'd walk my cats and shit. And I never thought, I'm like, oh, my cats are a lot like dogs. I walk them, they'll be fine. They didn't love the experience. My male cat wasn't too bad, but my lady cat did not like the experience. She pooped on my shoe, in fact. So I'm like, fuck, I need to get, cat carriers. So, we got to take them to the vet and stuff. You need a cat carrier. And then I moved into this apartment building. And then it was, I don't know, a few months after living here, fire alarm went off. Fucking crazy. I haven't lived anywhere where a fire alarm went off before. So I was like, what the fuck is this, you know? So I start scrambling like an idiot. So I'm like, I don't know. I have this whole philosophy where, you know, if the building's burning down and I'm not going to be able to get back to my apartment, I'm leaving the apartment with whatever I can carry that's important to me. So I have like a bag, and I just, you know, my laptop, my bag of weed, a few mementos, and a couple things that I don't want to, you know, lose go into my bag, right? And you got to gather the fucking cats and then get the fuck out. The only thing is, the first time the fire alarm went off, I didn't have any cat carriers, right? So I was like, I didn't know what to do. I was like, fuck, guys, I guess I'm leaving you behind. And I left, and I got to like the stairwell, right? And I felt like this fucking, this emptiness inside, like this like shame, or like this fucking, I don't know how to describe it. I felt like, oh my God, um, you know, I just felt like, fuck, I'm leaving my children in a fire. That's kind of how I felt, right? And then I noticed someone else coming down with their cats, and they had their cats in their laundry basket. And I was like, "Oh my God, that's genius! I have a laundry basket." I ran back into the apartment. I threw a towel in the bottom of the laundry basket. I threw both cats in the laundry basket, and then I wrapped that laundry basket in a blanket so they couldn't get out. And I carried them down. I think I made it down to the third floor before. I live on the 8th, and I got to the third floor, and like the custodian or janitor or whatever, he was like, oh, it was a false alarm. You can go back upstairs. And so I fucking lugged these cats back upstairs. And like, Jesus Christ. And like a year or so later, I ended up, like, a colleague I work with gave me a bag she had for her dog or her cats. I think it was made for dogs, but she used it for her cats. And this bag is like big enough. I was able to stick both my cats in it at the time. My male cat's gotten a lot bigger. They both do not fit in the bag. Anyway, I had this bag, and we're good to go. And then the fire alarm goes off one day, and then one of my cats is not being cooperative. I can't get him. And then my other cat, no problem, put her in the bag. So I'm like, fuck, I guess I'm leaving one cat behind. And same thing. I don't even make it all the way outside. And they're like, you know, it's a false alarm. So now in my mentality, I was like, fire alarm goes off again. I ain't fucking going out, man. It's been false alarms every time. So it's like, you know, fool me twice, shame on me. And the third time, I guess I burn with the building, right? That's how that's going to go. Anyway, the third time happened. And it happened last week, or this week. It happened this week. I think it was on Wednesday. I got new cat carriers. So finally, and then I brought my male cat got sick, and I had to take him to the vet. And the cat carrier I was carrying him in was falling apart. And I used it to take him to the park, and I need another cat carrier, or at least, you know, 2 new ones. So I found one. My cats were sick. I had to get some medicine, and on the website I was getting their medicine. They had a sale for cat carriers on sale for $25. So I bought 2 of them. I'm like, got them. They came into work that day, brought them home. I was like, this is cool. I got these cat carriers now. I'm ready to go. And that night, it was like, I don't know, 1 in the morning, 2 in the morning, something like that. Fucking fire alarm went off, and I was like, what the fuck? I, you know, get out of bed. And I'm like, so in my head, I'm like, okay, well, no, fuck, it's going to be a false alarm. Like, it's always a false alarm. But the fucking thing's going off now for like an hour. There's a large group of people gathering outside my building. And I'm like, oh shit, my building is actually on fucking fire. Of course it is. The cat bags came in today. This is perfect. So there I am. I shoved the cats into the new cat bags. Well, actually, I used the one cat bag that's new, and then I used the old one because I didn't want to take the new one out of the package because I didn't have time. And I gathered my cats up, hauled them all down the 8 flights of stairs. We get outside of the building. We're out there, and I figure, oh, well, if the building's burning down, I might as well have a cigarette. So I have a cigarette, and by the time I'm done the cigarette, the fire department's telling us we can go back in, but the elevators weren't working, so I had to carry my fucking cats up the 8 flights of stairs. But hey, I now have, you know, a means to get those little fuckers out of here, and so that's great. I'll never have to have that feeling of leaving my cats behind in a fire ever again. So yeah, that was that little story about what happened to me this week, and yeah, I think that's it. I think that's all I have to say. I wanted to go on that little rampage. And more, as I'm talking, more people are commenting on that fucking post, and I'm not reading them. I'm not reading them. Not anymore. I'm not doing it. I'm not going down those rabbit holes. If someone has an actual genuine positive thing that they want to say, they can send me a message. Or if you want to, you know, contribute to the podcast and ask some questions, give some comments or whatever, go to the Foolish Canuck page on Facebook And whatever you want to say, fire it off to me on there. I will read that stuff. I will comment on it. I will include it into the podcast. Same thing on Twitter, at Foolish Canuck. You want to know, anything about me or the podcast, or you have a topic you'd like to hear me talk about or ramble about, I guess is probably more accurate. Fucking fire it off on Twitter, at Foolish Canuck. We're on the Facebook, Foolish Canuck. Facebook.com/Foolish Canuck. Jesus Christ. You can also visit the website. You guessed it, foolishcanuck.com. The podcast, we're available on iTunes. If you can, if you want to help us out a little bit, I'm trying to, I mentioned off the top, generate more of an audience, get the word out a little bit better. I feel like we're starting to get a hang of this. We finally got a good rotation going. We're keeping things on schedule to some degree. And if you're enjoying it, I know there's a handful of you that have been listening to this, so I'm assuming you're enjoying it. Otherwise, you're a masochist and you just like hearing, I don't know why you would listen to me if you don't enjoy this. So I appreciate it, and I love you very much for doing so. But if you want other people to listen to this as well, and you want to help us, grow and expand, go to iTunes and leave a comment, leave a positive review wherever you listen to this. Like each episode, like the podcast, share with your friends whenever you get a chance. Tweet about it. If you have a podcast yourself, if you have a podcast yourself, why don't you come on my podcast and I'll go on your podcast and let's fucking do some cross promo or whatever. Whatever the case, any support is always appreciated. There's a whole bunch of ways you can support the podcast. If you go to foolishcanuck.com, scroll to the bottom of the page, there's a little link there that takes you to a support page that shows you all kinds of ways you can help us out. From donating a couple bucks to just spread the word, help us out. But that's it for today. Thank you very much for listening. Much love, everybody. I hope you have a great week. And, I'll probably talk to you tomorrow. And hope you enjoy the election. Bye-bye, everybody.